Go, sorry. Okay, so just as a reminder, today we'll be starting the first of a two-part series focused on mentorship. Today we'll be touching more on just a general introduction of mentorship and starting your mentorship journey. And next week we'll be focusing on the more practical aspects of mentorship, finding a good mentor, approaching your mentor, how to get the most out of your mentorship relationship. So we'll be covering quite a bit of ground over the next 2 weeks. Right, so I'm Lenine. I wear 2 hats. I am a mentor formally in professional bodies like the African Academy of Sciences mentorship program, Caprice's clinical research placement program here at UKZN. But I'm also a mentee in formal bodies like the AAS and others. And I'm a mentee because I'm human. I have goals. I also want to learn. I also need support to achieve my goals. And this is the main benefit of mentorship. And as both mentee and mentor, I understand where both mentee and mentor are coming from. And this fuels my passion to really help as many mentorship relationships succeed, and to help as many new young researchers grow and develop a culture of mentorship that does the same. I'm hoping that today will be a very interactive session, as these meetings generally are. So please type any questions, any comments in the chat box. Use the reaction icons to express yourself during the presentation. I really appreciate participation as a speaker, and I'm sure we all do as a community. So yeah, let's get started. All right, mentorship. Here we go. Wait. Before we continue, I'm not in my usual venue, so I'm going to wave and say hello and show my face and switch off my camera to save an hour's worth of video bandwidth. I hope everyone's okay with that. You'll have a picture of me on a better hair day to look at while I talk. Okay, so mentorship. Here we go. What is mentorship? Yes, of course, we're going to start with a definition. Why are you here with me this Tuesday afternoon? What is this word that people keep speaking about like it's a good thing? It is. What is this thing that funding bodies are now increasingly requiring you to include in your grant applications? So for those who didn't know, that is actually happening. So I'm sure that there are some young researchers half listening out there. I bet you're all very quite focused now. Funders like to see that you have the support of experienced professionals to help you achieve your vision. So if you'd like, you're welcome to jot down what you think mentorship is in the chat box. We can compile any differences and similarities within the definitions and really dig into it a little bit later in our discussion. But while you're doing that, I'd like to share the response that I got when I asked someone recently what mentorship is. And they said, mentorship is guidance from a mentor. And you gave me this deadpan face, like, how could you ask me something so stupid? When my kids could probably do the face much better than I could if my camera was on, but the point remains. It seemed a silly question, and she gave a very succinct and I guess absolutely correct answer. It's probably way more detailed it is a very more detailed description. And in the next couple of slides, I'd like to just unpack this definition of what mentorship is just a little bit. So it's guidance. It's the sharing of knowledge, of skills, of life experiences, of professional experiences by someone, presumably a mentor, with you. And who is this person or these people who are so very willing to help you? I say people because you can absolutely have more than one mentor at a given time. And these mentors are experienced. They have the knowledge that you're interested in learning. They have the skills that you're interested in developing. They have the life experience or the professional experience that you are inspired by, and they act as advisors or as counselors. So you would essentially be learning from their experience and accessing their life or career lessons or their networks or whatever resources that they'd like to share with you to accomplish your goals. And the mentor really is interested in helping you acquire the skill you'd like to have or the skill you'd like to develop, and in the way that you want to, or maybe even just meet who you need to meet, or maybe they just will provide the ear or the encouragement that you need along your way, along your path to success, along your upward trajectory. So mentorship provides an opportunity for practical advice from someone with experience in the area of development that you are interested in. This is an opportunity for you to develop strategies for managing personal, academic, or career development challenges. Another benefit of mentorship is through the encouragement provided by a supportive relationship. Your mentor would support and challenge you to grow and to meet your goals. Now, through your interaction, you are very likely to gain confidence and become more empowered to make certain decisions. And I think for me, what is the most profound benefit of mentorship was to learn that I wasn't alone, that somebody had gone through a similar experience to me. They'd faced all that frustration and all those challenges and managed to still make it through. And I learned how to as well. And through that interaction, I gained confidence and I was encouraged, I was inspired to address my obstacles in different ways. So the support provided through mentorship relationship is a massive benefit. Your mentor would provide nurturing support by listening, really listening, asking questions and sharing their experiences, their scientific knowledge, their networks, whatever. They will listen to you and they'll guide you according to the goals that you both have laid out together based on their experiences along a similar path as yours. So, you know, it's likely that you can still achieve your goals or develop your skills all on your own without any support. I mean, that's fine, you can do that. It might just take a little longer, it might require much more effort and perhaps a little bit more troubleshooting on your part, but you could absolutely get there by yourself. Although I hope that my description of how wonderful mentorship is a little bit more appealing than you deciding to go it your own. Just as added incentive to experience mentorship, let's have a listen to Denzel. So I had to add him here to really just drive home how important the benefits of mentorship are. He says, "Show me a successful individual and I'll show you someone who had real positive influences in his or her life. I don't care what you do for a living. If you do it well, I'm sure there was someone cheering you on or showing you the way." A mentor. Doesn't it just make you want to go out and find a mentor? Or I guess if you're in the position to go out and be a mentor to somebody. So there are different kinds of mentoring. There's the formal route, and this is usually characterized by intentionality, where the partners in the relationship ask for and offer the mentoring, and they establish goals for the relationship and make agreements about the nature of the relationship. So this would sometimes be conducted through mentoring programs with specific goals, like helping participants develop their careers. So I guess professional bodies like the African Academy of Sciences, Jill, Sante, Caprisa, hers essay, there were plans to have a formal mentorship program in the SEM. I'm not sure how far along the pipeline that is, but it's needed, and I hope it happens here and everywhere, I guess. And then there's also the informal way of mentoring, which is usually very spontaneous. And I'm sure that many of us are already mentors. You a role model to somebody. You provide advice or counsel when you are asked, and this is based on your experiences. And this might be a long-term relationship, so that could make you a mentor. These informal types of mentoring are very often also found in the context of other relationships, like peer relationships or supervisory relationships. So I guess this is a very good time for me to highlight that supervision is different from mentorship. Mentorship can be an aspect of supervision, and we often see that. But there are fundamental differences between the two, between supervision and mentorship. And one of the major differences between, can you still see my screen?
Yes, it's all very clear. Thanks, Lynn.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Sorry, my screen just went blank here. I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. Okay, so thank you very much. I stopped at the differences between supervision and mentorship. And one of the major differences, I think, between supervision and mentorship is that our supervision is more task-oriented. And this would include things like the completion of a thesis or a dissertation. And this likely involves a direct assessment of academic performance. And mentorship, on the other hand, would involve a more long-term relationship that encourages many different aspects of an individual's personal development or professional development. And you'd probably find that a supervisor might say something like, here is my feedback on this thing, or please make sure that you are doing this or that or whatever, or I expect to see this or that by this particular time. Whereas a mentor might say something like, may I share with you the process that I use to do this or that, whatever, or in this situation, I would have whatever, or here's a tool that I use to whatever. They might also say something like, how do you feel about that? I mean, I hear that often. And sometimes I feel like my sessions with my mentors are more like therapy with someone who believes in me and my potential and has no hidden agenda, and really just cleared their busy day for just a little bit to help me grow. And that is wonderful. That's one of the best parts of mentorship for me. So I'm sure that there really are many of you with supervisors who also perform a mentorship role, and that can be great. There's nothing wrong with that. But it can become a little problematic in certain instances. I'd just like to raise that for a little bit now. I'm happy to chat more about it in the discussion and in the chat box. But something that I've seen, and others can comment as well, is that it can become a problem in instances where there's a conflict between supervisory responsibilities and mentorship responsibilities. So, for example, you might have a supervisor who notices that you may be consistently underperforming or procrastinating or something, and they might then try to push you a little bit harder for you to meet certain deadlines. And maybe this is driven more by contribution, by you having a direct contribution on them meeting their funding or publishing demands or KPIs or whatever that needs to be met. While a mentor might not have that pressure. The mentor might say something like, you say you're not happy, I see you're not happy, I know that you tried hard here, but you also have the potential to succeed in another field or in another topic that interests you. Maybe explore that if you want, and I'll support you as best I can. So those are two different contributions from a supervisor and a mentor. And it's just something that I've noticed, and I would suggest then that if you enjoy your mentorship, the appointed mentorship aspect with your supervisor, and that's fantastic. But you might also like to complement that mentorship relationship with additional sources of mentorship as well. And I'd just like to end off this bit of the session with a lovely quote by Whoopi Goldberg. She says, "We are here for a reason. I believe a bit of this reason is to throw little torches out to lead people through the dark." And this raises an important, well, feature about mentorship, both in an informal mentorship relationship and a formal mentorship relationship. And to me, this is this concept of community. And I did mention it before. I think it's one of the most important benefits of mentorship. It's knowing that you are not alone, that there's a person out there who's experienced the dark, they've figured out the wonders of fire, and they are sharing their light to help you as well. But this also raises another important point about mentorship, and that is that the mentee should also know what it is that they want before embarking on a mentorship journey, just to get the most out of it. Do you want someone to just shine a light for you? Or do you also want to learn how to build and light your own torch? So now that you have a general sense of what mentorship is and how it can help you, I'm going to switch my focus just slightly and really hone in on one of the most important bits about mentorship. But if you have any questions or any comments about what I just spoke about, please use that chat box, pop it in there. We can discuss it all at the end. And the same goes for the next part of the session. Next week, we will go into the nitty-gritty of finding and approaching a mentor, defining the responsibilities of a mentee and what a mentor does, and just generally how to optimize the relationship to achieve your goals. But before getting to that point, I'd like to just speak about what I think is the most fundamental part about your mentorship journey. And that, I hope you're not surprised to learn, is you. Your mentorship journey starts with you. To be effective, mentorship can't just be something that happens to you. You should be an active participant. You should be the driver. So someone out there may be willing to help you succeed, to meet your goals, and that is absolutely fantastic. But you would need to give them quite a bit of direction on how they can assist you first. So I would strongly suggest quite a bit of introspection before embarking on your mentorship journey. Dim your lights, put on some mood music, get inside your head and start figuring out who you are, what it is you want. What is your goal? What do you need to achieve this goal, these goals? And what sort of support do you need? How do you want to achieve these goals? So bear with me now. I'm just going to unpack these three concepts a little bit. And I'll start, of course, with number one. What is your goal? What do you want? Seeking support through mentorship begins with you realizing and acknowledging that you want something in the first place, that you don't have something, but you want it, that you want to be some way a particular time in your life. What is this goal? Where do you want to be? When I ended my PhD, to be absolutely honest, I wasn't sure where I'd land up in 10 years. I didn't know whether it would be industry or as a research scientist or in academia. I guess being in a position to speak about mentorship on a Tuesday afternoon. I didn't know, but I did know how I wanted my 10 years time me, my 10 years time me to be described. I wanted to be established. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be a mother. I wanted to, no, I didn't, I can't really say rich. There's no money in science. Comfortable. I wanted to be comfortable. Well, you know, you get the point. Have you done that? Have you thought about where you see yourself in 10 years' time? I mean, you may just send me a thumbs up. Who's done that? You may not know perhaps for sure what sort of job title you would want in 10 years' time, but at the very least, perhaps you have a sense of what you'd like to be described as. And perhaps we could just spend a few minutes on that before we move on and I speak on about myself again, and because you know I quite like to do that. Right, so if you have access to another browser, please go to www.menti.com and use the code 7756638. Let me see if I can put that in the chat as well. Where's the chat box? And this is a good way for me to get a general sense of the level of introspection in the room. If there is none, I hope that it inspires you to do some thinking. Let me just put this up there for us so that we can all see what everyone is saying. And I'll also play along. I will list what I thought I would be described as in 10 years after my PhD. What did I say? I said, yeah, successful, established, financially secure. I'm just gonna hold on so other people can also join. And while that happens, I'll touch on this word successful. We're gonna have a whole hour plus conversation about the definition of successful. I mean, I guess it means different things to different people. To me at the time, it meant what? That my family, my community, my peers, my colleagues could acknowledge the impact that I'm having, that I'm actually having an impact on research or on improving public health. Success might mean different things to different people, different times in their lives. Like, I guess for me this morning, success was getting to work without anybody having a tantrum, including me. So, yeah, I see there are, there's more success. Okay, let's take a look at the screen. So the bigger the word, the more people are saying that as well. So I see there are quite a few people then saying that they thought they'd see themselves as a, or they think they will see themselves as a professor in 10 years' time. They will be fulfilled in 10 years' time. Happy, successful again. Oh, there's some good ones here. Hey, somebody's traveling. Somebody doesn't care about COVID anymore. COVID is gone. We're all going to travel within the next 10 years. A successful author. Okay, so we've got this degree of introspection. People are thinking about who they are, where they want to be in the future. And that is a fantastic start. And shall I give it a few more seconds for anybody to round up? Okay, I guess our major ones are fulfilled and successful and happy. I will share these once, I'll keep it going, but I will share the outcome with you and we can continue to the next slide. You can still fill it in. It will still continue in the background. Okay, so you might know now what it is that you want. You have a goal. And now you need to figure out what you need to achieve it. You want to be a professor. What does that mean? How do you become a professor? What are the steps that you need to put into place in order to get there within the next 10 years? So let me take you back to perhaps around the end of my PhD again. I decided that I'd like to become a research scientist. I loved the lab. I loved finding answers to life's little mysteries from within a biohazard hood. And I started a postdoc in basic science research. I guess I also wanted to become a professor. And I enjoyed this postdoc until I was faced with this terrible truth that I would need to start bringing in my own sources of substantial funding. Now, as a PhD student, you are aware of this concept of writing grants to support your own research and maybe a stipend as well. But as you progress as a postdoc, this responsibility, it grows. It grows to you having to find money to support not only your research, your salary, other people's salaries, equipment, maintenance. My goodness, it steamrolls. And you need to fund these for a long time. Surprise! I didn't actually grasp that concept as a PhD student. And then whoop, it hit me during postdoc. Oh my goodness, I needed to find money. I needed to become the kind of scientist that people want to give money to. And I bet there are quite a few of us here who are probably needing to do the same thing. So who is this person? Who's the scientist that people want to give money to? Who are they? So I looked around for professional role models at the time, and I identified some, and I had candid discussions with them about their journeys. So, you start thinking, you start planning, okay, putting the steps in place to become like them or similar to them. There's another way to do that. You can also nowadays just look on LinkedIn. Sometimes the role model that you're interested in has their CV posted on LinkedIn, but then you'd also miss out on the interesting conversation that you could have with that person in person or virtually. Another way to determine what you need to get to do in order to get where you want to be is to look at eligibility criteria for certain jobs or grants or even the CV formats that are required by relevant grant applications. So for me, this is one of the biggest eye-openers, knowing what you don't have or knowing what's lacking. And has anybody ever filled in one of those NRF, the National Research Foundation CVs? Put your thumbs up or something for me. Let me know that I am not the only one who starts cringing at those blank spaces like patents or technical reports or books, all these things that, qualify, make you sound like a more accomplished person, and you have these blank spaces in the CVs. And, it can be very frustrating, but it can also be viewed as an opportunity to work towards something that can really benefit you. The NRF, I guess that was too broad. It's a bad example, but I do have today a more direct example in my track, in my main mentorship journey. My eye-opener was a CV that I needed to fill out for a very nice grant to support research and salary. Your path might be different to mine, but the point that I'm trying to make is that once you know where you want to go, it's good to figure out what you need to get there and then perhaps work towards that. preferably through mentorship. So in my experience, I needed to expand my CV under the following headings to achieve my goal of becoming a well-funded independent scientist. So this was part of the application. It begins with the normal list your education, list your teaching experience, list your research experience. And at this point, I actually had no teaching experience and no research experience, well, very limited research experience at this point. So I started sweating. And then you need to list your publications, and you would need to be somebody who has been awarded an honor for something or received some other kind of award. You would need to show that you have an interest in developing yourself professionally. So you would list all the many seminars and workshops that you attended or certificates that you received for things. You'd need to show that you've aligned yourself, in some instances, I guess this is useful, to professional bodies. You'd need to show that you are an active participant in the scientific community, whether by organizing conferences or reviewing things like journal articles or grant applications or conference abstracts or whatever. And then also show that you are using your skills to enhance the science in the community through volunteer programs, for example, or mentorship. And, you know, I freaked out. Looking at those CV requirements at that stage of my career and all the blank spaces or the really sparse spaces that I had, it was an eye-opener to what I didn't have or who I wasn't at that time of my life. But after I had my little mini freak out, I clawed my way out of this very bad case of the imposter syndrome. And I realized that I'd actually been presented with this beautiful opportunity for development. What I'd had in front of me was a blueprint for what I wanted to become. And I realized that, you know, it's not as simple as saying, I have this goal. I want to be an independent researcher. I want to be a professor. I want to be a Nobel Prize winner. I want to be the head of an international research institution or whatever. I realized that I needed to understand what that actually meant, what skills I would need to develop, what skills I needed to acquire in order to become that. What sort of experience did I need to have along the way? And you can work through this by yourself. You can work through this along with your mentor, actually. It's really worthwhile, I think, to explore it by yourself first, even peripherally, to really just direct the energy of you and your mentor a little bit better. So once you acknowledge your goals, you really need to be very clear about what sorts of skills you'd need to develop in order to achieve these goals. Let's look at a professor. What sort of skills would a professor need to develop? Interpersonal skills? Would they need administrative skills, management skills? Would they need to know how to pitch? Would they need to know how to write? Would they need more clinical research experience? Managing a work-life balance, leadership skills, supervision skills, public speaking skills, research skills, how to negotiate. Let me tell you about this negotiation. This is very important when you're speaking about salaries. So that should actually be much bigger. Teaching, networking skills, presentation skills. I guess they're all pretty important. But I guess it comes from you. You would need to be very aware of what your strengths are. Be aware of what your weaknesses are or your challenges, what really challenges you. I mean, it's so very easy for us to speak about that. What don't we have? What do we lack? Sometimes we just overlook what our strengths are. I'd suggest then as part of your introspection experience is to speak with somebody else. Have them tell you what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And it will probably be a little bit different to what you think your strengths are and your weaknesses are as well. But either way, it's good to get a very strong understanding of where you want to be and how you need to grow in order to get there. And once you know this, you'd have a better sense of who would be the right person, or I guess who would be the right people to help you develop in the way that you want to develop to achieve your goal. What kind of person is this? What kind of people are they? I keep saying that you can have more than one mentor for many different aspects of your mentorship needs, and you probably will. Your mentor should have the necessary experience. I mean, that's the number one rule. They need to have the experience to help you with your development needs. Your mentor should also value the confidential nature of your interactions, and they should also have your best interest at heart. These should be standard characteristics in your mentor. But this bit is also where you need to be aware of what sort of relationships and what sort of people get the best out of you. So besides experience and discretion and having your best interest at heart, there are other important features of the mentor or the kind of relationship that you're looking for that you would need to consider. Like, what kind of person are you? Are you a little bit sensitive? Would you probably thrive with a mentor who's more nurturing, or who's going to motivate you, give you pep talks when you need to? Or would you be able to manage a no-nonsense realist who's going to tell you like it is, no matter what? Or do you need someone who's more social, who gladly introduce you to all their networks, all their friends, all their colleagues, share any resources for your benefit? So I guess that's another important bit of introspection for you. Picture your mentor, your imaginary mentor, your mentor to be. What sort of qualities, besides experience and discretion and having your best interest at heart, what would you value in a mentor? What sort of environment do you need in order to help you develop in the way that you need to meet your goals? And I'm going to, sorry, I do actually have another Mentimeter because I'm quite interested in your answer. Oops. Sorry, I lost it. And now it's here. There we go. Could you please go to the menti.com? It's the same as in the chat box that you just used. Same code as well, 7756638. And you could answer that question. Sorry, that's a better, that makes it much easier, isn't it? All right. And again, I'll also play along here and list what I think are great qualities in a mentor. And I guess being a mentor myself and also being a mentee makes this a little bit easier. Oh, how do you spell that? There we go. Yeah, all right. Honest. I'm sure honest is going to become one of the bigger words out there. Anything related to trust and integrity, I think, are one of the key features of a mentor. Involved, empathy, humility, a good listener, patient. I'm just going to spend a minute and speak about my experience with one of my mentors. And it still gets me today. The concept that this person has cleared out some time. I mean, these people are busy. They are professionals. They are, living the dream. And I mean, working super hard, and they still have time for you. Like, it's an hour out of the day just focused on you. And my very first few mentorship sessions, it still overwhelmed me. I was quite, anxious during it. I wanted to get done with it quickly because I didn't want to disturb them for any longer than I absolutely needed to. And each of them let me know in a lovely way that this is my time. I approached them. They were happy to help me. They are doing this for a reason. They want me to succeed. They're happy to help. So get out of your mind and enjoy this hour's worth of dedicated time on you, on me. It was wonderful. I love mentorship. All right, so I'm seeing wonderful answers over here to these qualities. Knowledgeable, experienced, yes, they should have wisdom. They should be respectful. Absolutely. And in our next session, next week, we will really go into the responsibilities of a mentor and how these features of their characteristics play into those. So, I mean, I'll keep this up in the background, and I'll forward it in our next, in another email to the community, because it's quite interesting. This description of the kind of person or these kinds of people who are going to support you, who are going to help you succeed in the way that Denzel Washington described. So look out for them. Right. Okay, so to recap this bit of the session regarding your mentorship needs, you need to know what is your goal. It was good to see that there was a level of introspection here. Some people know what their goals are, they know where they want to be. We might not know exactly where exactly, but there might be a broad description of it. There's been some thought there. Once you have your goals, you need to know what you need to achieve in order to get it, and what support you need in order to get there. And let me tell you, anyone who's had a mentor before can tell you as well, your mentor will likely ask you similar questions at your very first meeting. They'll probably say something like, hello, how are you doing? Thank you for contacting me. So tell me, what are your goals? What do you think you need in order to achieve these goals? And I think this is the most important one. How can I help you? So it would be nice if you could be prepared with some of those answers when you meet your mentor for the first time. Your mentorship journey, as a reminder, begins with you. You have a goal. You have an idea of what it is you need to do in order to achieve that goal. So you approach a mentor to assist you to develop appropriately to achieve that goal. Your mentor will very likely suggest other ways in which you can develop to meet your goal. And that's fine. You can work through that together. That is the point. They may help you build on your goal as well. Your goals will change, guaranteed, throughout your journey. And it's nice to know that there's this level of support to help you develop. But ultimately, the key is you. So please take some time to think about what you want, how you want to get there, who would be best placed to assist you, and then take charge. Make the mentorship relationship work for you. So Mother Teresa says, it's quite fitting here at the end of this presentation, the first step to becoming is to will it. So I'm going to switch off this presentation and we can have a good old discussion now. But before we do, I'd like to just mention that next week we'll delve a little bit more deeply into the responsibilities of a mentee and a mentor, and finding and approaching a mentor and making the relationship work for you. So we will get into that. Today, though, I hope that you had a good general introduction, a good 101 to mentorship. And if you haven't yet done so, have a little journey of introspection to decide on your goals and how you'd like to achieve them. And it will shed some light on who you'd like to have along your journey to success. And I guess I will stop right there, and we can have a bit of a discussion about the mentorship. And I have a couple of questions. I thought it was burning questions when I was a young student. And if there are any questions or comments about what I spoke through over the past couple of minutes, we can discuss that right now. Hi. Okay. So, does anybody here have a mentor? You can either raise your hand to speak or put it a thumbs up in the chat box or whatever you prefer. Okay, Tam says she has many mentors. That's good. There's at least one person who's experienced the wonders, the joys of mentorship. So what do you think? Could I pose this to the whole group? Is it okay? Is it preferable to have a mentor from another department or another field, or someone totally outside of your research area? Would you want that? Under what circumstances would you like that? Okay. So that's an interesting one to think about. When I first applied to a mentorship, a formal mentorship body, as a mentee, the question was, what would you like? What qualities would you like in your mentor? What sort of characteristics? And my only answer was that this person would need to be a woman. At that time in my life, I didn't really care, what sort of experiences they were. They're all going to be professionals, but I needed somebody who had experience with the particular journey that women take, climbing the ladder through science and research. And
Anita, I think there's some very good comments in the chat. Maybe we can ask those people to unmute so that we can take them further.
Sure, I'll do that. I'll just finish up what I mean to say. The mentor that I received was someone totally outside of my field. She was a woman. That was the only criteria. And what I really enjoyed out of that relationship was the fact that she was not she does research totally different to me. So our discussions could be solely focused on career development within science as women. And I thought that was very useful. So that was my experience. I'm sure others would have had different. So right, there are people who are saying that they have mentors, some people who don't have mentors, the people who don't have mentors. It would be worthwhile sticking around in our next session to learn about how to approach one, how to find one. Heidi says, I had a prof from the USA who mentored me through my first published research paper, and the motivation and his care and kindness was an amazing driving source for not giving up and to make it happen. So that's one fantastic thumbs up for mentorship. Yay, mentorship. And we have a question from Bajrat Lowell. Does a mentor have to possess all of the qualities mentioned, or just one is okay? When one or some of the qualities are missing in a mentor, does this disqualify one as a good mentor? I'm sure there are other mentors in the community who might want to comment. My response to that one, Bajrat, is that your mentor would not need to have all the qualities mentioned. They would at least need to have the experience that you would need in order to achieve the goal that you want out of the mentorship relationship. In that case, I would also encourage you to have multiple mentors to make sure that you are still focusing on achieving the goals that you want, experiencing the different qualities of different mentors then. Follow that spectrum. Unless, of course, this mentor that you might mention also has some toxic qualities, and that is not going to promote good productivity from you. In that case, I would say maybe just try finding another mentor. Perhaps I can ask another, if there are comments from anyone else who'd like to address that. I see Colin is unmuted.
No, I wasn't unmuted. I just made a comment to go with, what if your mentor doesn't have all the qualities? And I just made the comment that a mentor is a normal human being like all of us. They can't be everything to everybody, not even everything to one person. I think Badirat has asked another question here is, what if the supervisor does not possess the qualities of a mentor, and how does one navigate with such a person to achieve one's goals? And I think this one you should mention here, that the supervisor and a mentor can be two different people. I would just say that each must know of the other. So especially people who are studying long distance, it's very difficult to have your supervisor be your mentor when you can't actually speak over a cup of coffee and just relax.
Absolutely. Communication is so key to a great mentorship relationship. So if you were going to have a mentor, having that space where you can actually relax and bare your soul if you need to, that's where you need to be. It wouldn't necessarily need to be with your supervisor, but you should acknowledge that and make sure that there is somebody, a mentor who could also do, who you could have that sort of relationship with. Sorry, I've been very bad with this chat box today. Oh, okay, so Colleen has addressed that question. Did I miss anything?
I'm not sure if you're seeing all the questions, but there is one here. And I'm interested, and I don't want to put Mpoi on the spot here, but I've made this comment to somebody else. Mpoi, would you like to expand on what you said there? Is that you've got a mentor, but it's never really been discussed. Would you like to just expand on that? Because sometimes I believe there's just a natural relationship with a person.
Yes, Prof. So I don't know. This is awkward because I think you're my mentor, even though we never discussed it. even though we've never discussed it, but I think sometimes like we don't really talk about it and you don't really say that, but the nature of the relationship and the conversations that happen end up maybe creating a space where you see someone not just as let's say a supervisor, but you can actually have conversations outside academia where you can, let's say, use what they tell you or their guidance or their advices to shape up your own life in your career. And even though maybe they don't know that they're your mentor, in your head, you see them as a mentor. So for me, I think it's something like that.
Yeah, I've made the point that sometimes you don't realize you've got a mentor because you've never sat down and said, will you be my mentor? And had the response, yes, I will be your mentor. Sometimes it's natural. Let me hand back to you, Lani.
No, that's absolutely right. I think that's a very good example of informal mentorship. There was no official, I need you to do this for me or with me, and just, it was organic. Miriam, you'd like to say something?
Yes, so I have a mentor in one of my objectives, which is a scoping review. And then like you actually presented, she's not really my supervisor, but she's just there like a colleague, but who's more advanced in what you are actually doing. And then the moment we started working together, it was actually very, very nice. So now the way our relationship began, we were in the same project. So we started as, our relationship was defined. So between me and her, we actually knew. And then I had all those questions within me. And then my supervisor was helping me. But when she came in between, she just made things very easy. And then because our relationship was defined from the word go, when we are making a decision, she would actually, most of the time, refer to my supervisor. Let's hear what she has to say about this. This is what I would do, but let's hear what she should say about this, because our relationship was very good. And then one thing I liked about her, like you said, her life is quite similar to my life. So when we were talking about motherhood, she told me her child is a year old, same as mine. And then I could relate well because at one time we were both tired. This is what she would do, and so on and so forth. And then I really admired. I looked so much up to her because we were very busy, but I don't know, she would find time to work out. And then I was like, okay, if she can do that, I also can do that. She's doing a postdoc. So unfortunately, it's just for one objective. She is doing studies in basic sciences, and I'm doing in health sciences. So now that's where our limitation comes in. So next week when we discuss, I wish I could find a mentor who's actually in the same area as me, and then we can share aspirations. Thanks.
Thank you so much for those comments, Miriam. You touched on very, very important points about mentorship. I mean, one of them is the importance of boundaries to begin with. You know, having that very clearly defined relationship is so very important, because there are less opportunities for conflict. There's more clarity. People know what they're supposed to be doing. And that can be very, very useful in a mentorship relationship. I see that aspect of your relationship with her also helped there be a good relationship with you and your supervisor. I think that was wonderful. And you didn't only get you didn't only develop your scoping review skills. You had life lessons. You were inspired by somebody as well. So it wasn't just one little aspect. It was multiple. That is a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's another good a tick in the benefits of mentorship. Yay, mentorship. So next week we'll be adding on to the points that Miriam just discussed now. How to find your mentor, what to look out for. What are the responsibilities on your part as a mentee, the responsibilities on their part as a mentor, and how best to work together to make the mentorship relationship work for you. So I look forward to seeing you all next week, Tuesday at 3:30, when we discuss session 2 of this mentorship series. It is now 4:31 and I'll say goodbye now. Thank you so much for participating in today's meeting. The recording should be available within the next 24 hours on the YouTube channel. Take care, everyone. Thank you.